But okay, documents now. Bank of Ghana seeks to place the problem at the doorstep of a year petroleum products. Nebua a jumpy year from a year 6.6 around that time. No, I jumpy year bedroom 16 honum baby. And what can say? And no, anama a year the cost of maintaining the cars and running the pool of cars or our bank honum no. Our supply sika to other financial institutions no. And now on the cost no akosro. And you're legitimate.
So I'll just ask a question. So if Namia Adoma how much you spent on the maintenance of the cars now, do you have an idea how many cars were bought within the period?
No, I don't have that idea. I don't have that information.
If these are cars, what did that? And I maintain your mona a bona cost idea. I just want to believe that you talk Afufrobia within the period under discussion. In any case, no, you can just oppose it to one kasa a chromo as we have been told for at least for the past 3-4 years. You say pensioners, no, you memo food for school feeding. So when it comes to issues of these maintenance, it is more attitudinal and supervision to the extent say would ask those who are responsible for the cars and say, see, I know them say Sami Unisika. In the car now, which you first, maybe I saw ACC, so would I crana ACA there, ACC. She see a chromo idea, AC no own sobium, and albedum, no kakraka. So the attitude and the supervision directive given to those responsible for maintaining these cars, where were the cars maintained? What was the problem with the car? Like all these questions, could there have been another option? So there are more lingering questions. So the justification is petroleum. You have been using car now for some time now. What has happened to your maintenance cost? Is it that because can V8 and bisa? So there's a personal responsibility on our part, even as office holders being paid by taxpayers' money to exercise some diligence. So again, when the banks collapsed or they gave their reasons for some of the things they did, Bank of Ghana says site is not attainable. So what happens in this case? So everybody can give an excuse, yes. But is it the right excuse to give to set precedence near AC and NC Biomana? So that is the point. You remember sometime last year we spoke, and I told you that as a nation we are import dependent. Yes, you're producing petrol in Yoruba, but it is not enough. So from hindsight, because my fear, Sami, is that the bank made profit the last time not reported you. And the profit was eroded by other negative. And that is scary. That's what I say. So the excuse there, yes, but if you subject it to some basic questions,
but it's interesting, sir, you described the response from the Bank of Ghana, say, excuse. And yet correct to say, for instance, the Russia-Ukraine war by Russian exports of products and on the market now as a result of sanctions and will withhold the ABA. Other international organizations and countries, how many Russia apply trade. We also saw the impact it had on Europe, especially even at the time when we heating system when we use gas and these are realities.
No, it is true, but we are not living in isolation. Russia, Ukraine, that is the point. We are around all trika. Other central banks in Africa, Nigeria, Togo, how can say they're different? Maybe there's something we have to learn from them, the way we are going about it. Do you understand? So whilst we are not happy about the current situation, we also want to subject ourselves to what can we learn from it? So yes, Russia, Ukraine, but the same Russia, Ukraine, what happened to Rwanda? He was able to pay on one cow Dimebwa. What happens to the around? So we cannot say that in isolation. Maybe there are other contributing factors, but I wouldn't want us to necessarily blame everything on Russia, Ukraine. That's the truth.
The point is that the Bank of Ghana, according to your statement, has a pool of vehicles. They need to distribute sika to financial institutions and this is on a daily basis. Movement in and out. And so obviously, Sepetro 926, that's our jumping to a year 16. And the statement says it is that which is making the entire cost of vehicular movement and maintenance, emane kosro.
So, Samuel, unless of course we are concentrating only on this vehicular movement, but
what they speak about exchange rate as well.
You've looked at the other ones, but the exchange rate discussion, you and I know, Sebi, if you want to interrogate it in Yoma AC lately, where the holding of cash in Yoma, the friends at the point where we've been told we should sell our dollars because Sydney Beba form in Yoma, but that's not the substantive issue. Aside the car maintenance, the Americans say they are pool of funds. Sebi, if the bank renders that movement of cash, which we call the bullion cash evacuation, they don't do it for free, do they? Don't the banks pay for it?
Yeah.
So the banks pay. So if your cost of movement or petroleum or maintenance has gone up, you transfer it to the bank that you are rendering the service to. Unless, of course, there's another statement that goes to say this part of it in the chair. Because we know the banks pay for the services that they render. And if you go to the bank and they are going to evacuate cash, they also have a charge that they push to you without like any direct visa.
Yeah.
So was it that they didn't transfer the cost to the banks or they decided to absorb it? I don't know whether you understand. Because
I get the point.
Say, oh, baby, I want to friend Uber, say, I'm very Biania. Uber, never, no, because I say, one friend, and come in, but maybe there was out here 20 cities. And they say, Uber, banner on G20 cities, none of the Kokan on Nagasani income for the day. And on one same. So is that the case, or the payments were done, I said, the amber to reflect? Because once the increases in petroleum is affecting your service delivery, you also give it to the person benefiting from the service, which are the banks. So now the banks from that side say that, hey, since you are fresh Cafe Bank of Ghana, first, someone charge you 30, since someone 100. How do we do our cash management and liquidity management so that we'll not be calling Bank of Ghana more often? I don't know what that is. It's a holistic discussion. So what happened to the transfer of cost or expenditure to the beneficiary of the service?
The Bank of Ghana in the statement, tells us one more our structural integrity problems with one more structure, one more CCN. So Robasa Trem will be a CN a humbi etua a bit me a and so they need a new facility or make me a movie in. They give other reasons. They envisage that the financial hub of Africa. The whole continent, that should be a banner, central banks, headquarters company, and to warrant a new building. Explanation, what you know what I'm saying?
Well, so to the extent that, in fact, the safety of the staff and management of everybody, and then the safety of the Nkrofo Jumaya Bank of Ghana is very, very important. No doubt about that. Sebi Jumano Moyanu as regulators, we want to be sure that Obia is safe. To the extent say Omanka Somaye analysis or Sebio, Nkrofo architects or engineers have realized so a dino baby a chair another structural integrity issues. I was say moving. It is also understandable. However, it is the timing of the cost said the eba out you get it. So people are not necessarily saying Sebio, a dana yesi anania yakwakosino enye. It is the timing, knowing very well say in addition to the 250 million, any Nioma Abba from communication to over 68% increment in directors, Sebio Musika, all these things put together. Couldn't we have done something on those other exigencies? I bet me reduce the impact. I don't know whether you get it.
Yeah.
Yes, it might be. I could say, after building as here, Africa will be a bar echo. It is okay, but to the extent say other things now become and I might bona question a dorsal bisano and the timing of it. That is the issue. It's about priorities, but in any case, someone can. You start here AC almost 250 million, and if you take out all the other the communication I can look at how much was spent on local and foreign travel in Nyomano. You get it. Because in the CCR, we know some of the meetings can be held virtually and all. So what happens to exploring those options? Was it all the meetings that said you was say to Kwankwa brochure, and it's not small money, senior. Millions of Ghana citizens. Why couldn't we? Because COVID by and our president, they were doing AU conferences and ECOWAS meetings, but via Zoom, a quantum was minimal. So Sebi lifty banner, like in and out. So it's just a cost to say, Charlie, in Sebi 50 loss no. Sebi 50 years no yen be that, but a year and I am shishi. But how do we learn from it going forward?
All these points are raising, does it warrant the resignation of the governor of the central bank and his deputies?
Well, to this, it is a personal decision in consultation with the president. If Sabio Nepano, if he say is justified,
but
the person
respectfully, earlier you gave an analogy of a teacher who sets questions for Enkwadaso Munko through exams. Nkwadana ko through exams na it be pass it through, one pass it through, it collapse one more. Now say teacher na ko through the same exams. No officially more than the students now. That's a personal decision. Now, are we not being charitable with the truth?
No, so that's what I'm saying. A teacher has two options. I have failed. I've resigned. Who should have been the ideal thing to set precedent? Sesebio. That is one, which is what I would have advocated for. But having said that, another teacher would say, receipt. I don't know whether you get me. Now, this receipt also goes to buttress the point, I said, there are procedures and processes for the appointment and then the removal of the governor and the honorable deputies. So if the presidency or the persons involved as a teacher feels hallelujah. But also on Kodia, school authority, which are we the nation or the country or the stakeholders can decide, say, we are putting steps in place for you to be removed. So those are the two options.